You're listening to The Blind Chick, an Aftersight original podcast. We're telling you stories about strength, overcoming hurdles, and living experiences. We see who you really are. Blindness can be an adventure. Are you ready for the journey of a lifetime? We are.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Blind Chick. That's Moses Street.
That is Penn Street. The Blind Chick. Oh, good start. Good start.
I know. This is new. This is our first, kind of our new format, right? So, and it has not gone that well. Moses and I did a full episode yesterday, and it was freaking amazing. We were side by side in front of the camera.
Our best episode ever.
Ever. And then when we uploaded it, Jonathan, our podcast producer, said there was no sound. So we've just spent about the last hour trying to get this to work.
40 minutes, but 40, who's counting?
Okay, who's counting?
Yeah.
42 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So Moses decided to go back upstairs into his cave, and I'm in my desk downstairs like we normally are, but we really would to sit side by side. And Moses, you kind of look like you're in a horror movie. I'm just letting you know.
I know, and I'm seeing things that I don't normally see.
Ghost. Well, hello, everybody. You're going to have to audio describe. This is still a podcast here.
Yeah, a hand came out of the dark and grabbed me.
Yeah, but he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah, but
how are you, Mose?
Recovering after 8 hours of working on photographs, but feeling pretty good, ready to go. Exciting topic.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we this is a pretty special week for us. We're hoping this is going to drop on October 9th, but so far we're not.
That's in 2 days. So Jonathan, you got all kinds of time to work your magic on this.
I know, exactly.
Well, spill the beans. What is it?
Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a special week.
And you'll get to see my ADHD apostrophe S.
Okay, you need to stand still. You're making me dizzy.
In full motion. This is what I do when you can't see me.
Moses is moving back and forth, and that even makes the horror movie effect look even worse. So this episode, Moses and I wanted to kind of just share why this week is so special for us. On October 9th, 1987. Gosh, that sounds like it's in the history books. I guess it is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I made the choice to quit drinking and doing drugs, and and I've been clean and sober ever since.
Yeah, and ever since I've been able to crawl home from the bars without her stepping on my hands.
Wah, wah, wah. But yeah, it is a special day, and I know many of you out there, maybe you're celebrating a big sobriety day or clean and sober day or whatever you want to call it. Or maybe you would love to celebrate a sobriety day and just haven't felt you had the support or the process to make that happen. But yeah, so we kind of wanted to just share a little bit about how that came about, because Moses, gosh, that was 3 years ago that we did that very, very first episode. Moses and I did a very, very first episode. We didn't know it was going to be the first episode of The Blind Chick, but they made it live. So that was the first one.
Yeah. It was
we did
our letter to Santa Claus. We sent him a video.
Yeah. It was so long ago there wasn't video.
Yeah. But so this is the story of what happened with her sobriety thing. is Penn worked. I've been a lifelong photographer, and I had discovered why people photograph bad, all that kind of stuff. And so I started putting together a whole system for teaching people to look good in a photo. So blank space to be edited.
Okay. So I was working as a teacher at a group home. I guess I don't know if it was called a group home, but we worked with high school students their senior year, and it was an actual house, and the students would come Monday through Thursday after school, and they would spend the night there, and we would teach them independent living skills. And they had a variety of disabilities. Some of them were cognitive, some of them were physical, but so I taught them independent living skills, which is, learning how to shop, learning how to ride the bus, learning how to cook, learning how to clean, all that fun stuff that you need to know. And that semester we had girls in, because we'd rotate girls, boys. We didn't want girls and boys in at the same time, because you know how that goes with teenagers.
Yeah.
But Paula, the main teacher, she had Moses do her wedding photos, I think even that past summer. Like it was pretty recent. And
we had become really good friends.
Yeah. And Paula loved Moses. And part of it was Paula really didn't like being photographed, but she really wanted her wedding pictures to be something really super special. So she had heard about Moses and his philosophy and his class about being photographed. And so she did it. And yeah.
Well, I had started the very first glamour boudoir studio for the everyday person. At that time, you had to be rich and famous and knocked down, gorgeous, beautiful to get a glamour shot, or that was people's perception.
Yeah.
And I, after many years of doing photography, realized, well, wait a minute, everybody's good looking. They just don't know how to do it. And so I started the very first glamour studio. And one of the big things that happened when I was doing the glamour, every single person I photographed went out and made a major life change. And it was always for the positive. And I'm sitting there going, what? Because I just didn't get it. But eventually I did. And I started researching and figured out how I could teach people to look good, whether I was photographing them or not. So anyway, I thought it would be great, because Paula had that school, that I would photograph the kids and show them that they were really good looking. And if you know you're good looking, yes, it can be the super ego and you can become obnoxious. But if you know you're good looking, like imagine walking into a party, a room, a store, knowing you looked like Angelina Jolie. That would have a different effect on your psyche than that. So anyway, we were going to do it. And then it turned out Penn, which I did not know, really hated being photographed.
Yeah. And so when Paula presented this, she presented it to me, and I was like, yeah, sure. The girls will get a free senior portrait. This will be awesome. But when we presented it to the students, they did not want anything to do with it, because when, as many of you know, if you have a disability, especially those teenage years, your self-esteem is usually in the toilet. And so they just refused. They didn't want anything to do with it. Moses even came and met with them. That did not help.
Well, that really didn't help, because they saw what I was like and what I looked like.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have done it.
So Paula came up with this idea. Well, Penn, you do it, and the girls will come along and they'll see it. and they'll see that it's, this really neat experience, and they look up to you. You're their mentor. You're closer to them in age and all of this. And I said, hell no. You cannot pay me enough.
And I don't know any of this is going on.
No, he does not. But Paula knew how to talk to me, and it wasn't a guilt trip, but it kind of was. She was like, well, Penn, if you do it, you'll make them feel safe, and it could really change their lives for the better, blah, blah, blah. And I still said no. And I believe she called my mother, and my mom, of course, got super excited because literally there may be a handful of candid photos of me from age 9 to 19. Like, maybe. I was always sick on school picture day and the remake school picture day.
Yeah. I've got a whole collection of them, and they all fit. All of her photos fit in a little matchbox.
Yeah, exactly. It was horrible. I didn't like how I photographed. My eyes looked really weird. I was super photophobic. And so if I didn't have my sunglasses on, literally it hurt. And so that even added, because all the photographers, you have to take your sunglasses off. And so the lights would hurt my eyes, which made it even worse face. So getting my photo taken was never, ever, ever a positive experience. But between Paula guilt tripping me and my mother's excitement, I said, well, the only way I'll do it is if my little sister can be there on the shoot. So that was agreed upon. And
the little sister was close to her age at the time.
Yeah. She wasn't 3.
I know. I'm
younger.
sitting here
I guess
picturing
I should say younger, because she's 3 inches taller than me. So, but yeah, so we went, my mom went shopping. She just went all out. She was over the moon. My little sister was excited because, I asked her to do my makeup. It was just a really neat thing. And so it was October 6th of 1987. We went, and it was beautiful. It was fall colors in Colorado. The weather was perfect. And there goes my guide dog. Oh, is there a monster outside? But yeah, and really from the very first photo Moses took of me, my life changed. And part of it, it was a lot of different things, but one of them was he asked me about my sunglasses, and I was like, no, the light really hurts my eyes. And he did not know I wasn't using a white cane. He did not know that I was low vision.
Totally clueless.
But, I said, no, my eyes are really sensitive to light. And he's like, oh, okay, wear your sunglasses. No big deal. And then,
because people don't realize sunglasses are cool.
They are.
So you should wear them in a photo because it'll make you cooler looking than sitting there with really stressed eyes because you're nervous about being photographed.
Yeah. Or maybe the actual light does hurt your eyes. I think it's silly that people aren't allowed to wear sunglasses in pictures. Just so all of you out there.
Especially blinkers, because you can blink all you want in the photo and it won't show because you can't see your eyes.
Exactly. So, but Moses, just the way he photographed, I really did feel like a supermodel. And it was the first time in my entire life that I felt beautiful. And that's a lot. I was 19 years old, and I really got into the shoot, and the students just thought it was really super awesome.
Yeah, because it's a lot like, for me, doing portraits has always been more like shooting a movie. And so you're not just standing there leaning against a tree like the cliched senior portrait. You're doing things that you would see, well, today you'd see it on TikTok and Instagram. But back then it was like what the best magazine photographers were doing. So you're doing something that's really exciting that you weren't anticipating. Because most people pull the camera out and everybody freezes in that standing position.
Yeah, you do get people to move around and even climb up things, do things that actually don't feel natural.
Yeah.
But they were beautiful. And this was before digital cameras. So it wasn't like Moses was able to take a photo and show it to me right away. It was just the feeling. And also the girls, everybody got so into it. And I had all these different outfits and, jewelry. And it was like, but it wasn't, and all of that was wonderful, but it was really something came alive inside of me that wasn't even, I don't know if it was even there before.
Yeah. She started out, she was a lot of people do this, but she was so nervous at the beginning that I'd say, put your hand there, and not realizing she couldn't see, she wouldn't do it. And so you, of course, always get permission, but I took her hand and I said, okay, put it here. I could hardly move her arm to put her hand up. She was so stiff.
Oh yeah.
That went away really quick.
Yeah. And so then the very next day, then we took all the girls back down and Moses photographed all of them. The pictures were beautiful, amazing.
They were great.
It was just incredible. And then on October 9th, which was, just 3 days later, I had a babysitting job. I had been babysitting since I was like 13. And that it just happened. One of my clients, they had a newborn baby. She was only, I do not even think she was 2 weeks old. She was tiny, tiny. And I had been babysitting her older sister that night, the parents, and I don't think the parents were gone very long. I think they just went to dinner or something. And that whole night, the newborn would not let me put her down. Like every time I put her down, she would cry. And I cannot handle babies crying. That's a whole other story, but but I would just hold her, and it was just so amazing being part of this brand new life. And she just had the whole world ahead of her. It was a blank slate in front of her. And it was just really that feeling of feeling beautiful for the first time in my life. And I had been abusing alcohol and drugs for about 6 years at that point. At age 9, when I got, the Stevens-Johnson syndrome started happening, they put me on pretty heavy duty narcotics, even at age 9, because I was in so much pain. And so I was using narcotics daily, but, they were prescribed. They were okay, right? But then when I hit 13 and discovered, well, if I take those narcotics with alcohol, oh my goodness, that is so much better.
Way better.
Yeah, way better. And then I got into drugs, and that even made it better, And I really just spent my teenage years completely medicated, but it was the only way I felt like I could survive. And I did it well. Like, I made straight A's. I was always did really good in school. I had a job. I'd been working and making my own money since I was, 12 or 13 years old. I was really high functioning. But definitely the alcohol, the drugs, the narcotics were ravaging my body physically. But that night, holding that newborn baby and then coming off the high of, the photo shoot, it just clicked in my brain. Like, I'm never going to feel this good again with alcohol and drugs. And I wanted that feeling so badly that something clicked in my brain, and it was the alcohol and drugs are keeping me from that blank slate that could be ahead of me.
Right.
And so I quit, and that was a Friday night. And I was not it was not pretty. My mom thought I was just sick. I spent a lot of time in bed because I was a sick kid. So she didn't really, my parents, nobody was too concerned over the weekend. They're just like, oh, she picked up a bug or whatever. And then on Monday, of course, I went to school and then went to work afterwards and to Paula's. And she was like, oh my gosh, you don't look good. She knew something was wrong. And so I was honest with her and I told, and she knew.
She was about the only one that truly suspected anything.
Yeah. And so she called my mom and said, I need to keep Penn here, because of projects we're working on. And she actually got me into the doctor because my body was shutting down. You're not supposed to just cold turkey. But she also researched and got me into an alcohol drug rehab program, which they didn't have an opening. This was October 9th, the 11th or 12th by the time Paula saw me. And they did not have an opening until November 1st. So Paula helped me get a strategy.
Didn't you stay with her?
Yeah, I did. I stayed with her. And of course, she just told my mom, Penn needs to, I just have all this extra work and stuff. And, to kind of back up my story of I need to stay at the home. And I did. I stayed with Paula and Paula somehow kept me alive. But our relationship, so Moses had taken the photos and you probably called like 2 weeks later, a week later, saying that the photo, you had the proofs in and that we could come and look at them.
Right.
And so we did. I went with my parents and again, Moses still has no clue. I can't see. He's a little bit slow, but my parents saw the pictures first and they got really emotional. Even my dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm basing my whole future on this photo shoot. And they must be awful.
And she looks so terrible. Her parents are in tears.
Exactly. But then it was my turn. And of course I had to pick them up and put them very close. And I had better vision then than I do now, but I was still, considered legally blind.
Yeah.
And I saw them and realized why my parents were emotional is they were beautiful. They were photos of this like beautiful, young, strong woman that had the whole world ahead of her. And
the total reverse of what you'd been going through.
Exactly. Now, when I saw myself in those photos, it didn't relate that they were me because I was so disconnected from that person. But I wanted to be her. And so I knew I was on the right track. I knew I needed support to get off all the drugs, all the alcohol, really just start taking care of myself. And so Moses and I are, because there was some magic there, except.
Yeah. Well, I before you, I know where you're going. So after that wonderful story, for me, Penn shows up, and I am sitting there and having a really hard time holding my jaw up because she's so knocked down gorgeous, and I'm in shock because. If anybody had ever seen the movie called The Mask with Cher, and I think Eric Stoltz played the guy who was disfigured, that the last time Penn had ever seen herself in focus was in the SJS, and she's covered with second and third degree burns.
When I was 9, yeah.
Yeah, and she's 9 years old, so she had created this horrible image of what she actually looked like to people. And I'm not aware of that because here's a woman in front of me that could go on the cover of any magazine. And even being aware that as long as I've done this, showing people how to look good in photographs so I don't have to take the picture, somebody else can, and they'll still look good, that the average person really doesn't know what they look like, me included, which I'll spare you my description of me. So I'm just photographing Penn and just thinking, wow, she is so pretty. And she's got such a great personality. And for some reason, to get a picture that somebody looked like somebody famous, somebody looked their absolute best, somebody looked powerful, all the positives that somebody would look, you have to be able to see that in the person.
Yeah.
And so I was seeing all of that in spades in Penn. So I'm falling in love while I'm doing the shoot.
And it took me a little longer because that first night he came to the house and he was talking with the girls. I was in the kitchen, and his oldest daughter, who was 8 at the time, was with him, and her and I hung out in the kitchen, and I just fell in love with her. I mean, it was love at first sight with Chantry. She was just this beautiful, beautiful little girl, and she was dressed kind of like Cyndi Lauper, who was one of my heroes. And we just chatted, and we talked about movies and her dog, Slowpoke, and we just had the best time. And then on the second day of the other shoot, I met Tate, the youngest daughter, and she was just barely 5 years old. So that was the icing on the cake. And so I fell in love with these 2 little girls, and then I was like, well, Moses isn't so bad.
Yeah, and Penn has no problem reminding me all these 38 years that I fell head over heels immediately. And she'll pause when we're telling this story, and she'll go, well, for me, it was about a year. I fell in love with your daughters, and then eventually fell in love with you.
No, that didn't take me quite that long.
All you guys who think you're the happening thing, you might ask your wife for the truth.
Exactly. But yeah, and I did not. I mean, I knew Moses had to be older than me. I can't see him, right? But I knew he had to be because he had an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I put him at, late 20, like maybe he was 30, like maybe. Yeah. Like that's in my head. And I was like, 10 years isn't that bad. Like
doable.
Yeah, it was doable. It
wasn't a deal breaker.
Yeah. Yeah, we had he invited me out to go to Halloween, which was the night before I was supposed to go into alcohol drug rehab. And again, he has no clue. He has no clue. He doesn't know anything about me.
Yeah.
Except that I'm a teacher, and
Well, and we were going up to way back about 80, no, it would have been about 83. I started the trick-or-treating door-to-door up in Estes Park. And so I was showing off, taking Penn up there for something that I had started.
And Estes Park is this little tiny mountain town in Colorado.
Yeah. And so we had done all that, and I'm still clueless. And then he said, let's go up to the Stanley, get a soda. And we're walking up towards the hotel, and Penn had a trick when she couldn't see. She'd walk right behind me. And so she had the essence of where I was, and she could fake.
But I did have a cane because I had the clever idea to be a blind nurse for Halloween. So I had on the nurse's frock and everything, and I, fake blood on it. And I had a cane because, I was a blind nurse. So I did have a cane.
And she can't see anything in the dark.
Nothing at night.
And so me being a sleazy first date, I go, holy cow, look up there in the window. There's this guy and girl kissing. And I go, look at that. And Penn looked the wrong way. And I go, she can't see. But then my age surprised her.
Yes, it did. Because his birthday's January 3rd. So, I had, November 1st, I went into alcohol and drug rehab for 28 days. That's what it used to be anyway. And I was the youngest person by far that had ever gone into that program, and definitely the first blind, low vision person that had gone through the treatment.
They did not have high expectations for you.
Absolutely not. Part of it was they had met my parents. And my mom was in total denial because my dad had been a raging alcoholic in his early days. And when he quit, he just quit cold turkey. Like, he was just like, I'm not drinking anymore. And he didn't. And so my mom was like, well, she needs her pills because she's in so much pain, and well, she'll just quit like her dad. She'll just quit alcohol. She doesn't need to be here. Like, she was just really in denial. And my dad was my dad, and he just sat there and didn't say anything.
Yeah. I don't think in all the time I knew him that he ever said anything.
Yeah, he was a quiet man with little words. But I think they knew that if they didn't let me into the program, there was zero chance. But because I was so young and, and I was sick too, my physical health was not good from doing so much stuff. But here I am 38 years later, but how I found out how much older Moses is because I had met his family, I was out before Thanksgiving, and he invited me to his family Thanksgiving, and I saw them again at Christmas. His sisters and I became good friends pretty right off.
Yeah.
So January comes around and the girls are like, it's Papa's birthday. It's Papa's birthday. So we went to the mall and we shopped for him. And I asked them how old he was, and they didn't really know because, parents' ages are not on their radar that young.
Yeah, we're old.
Yeah. And so, of course, he wanted to, his family wanted to, make him a cake and stuff. So we went down to his family's house, and I asked his sisters, I was like, so how old is Moses, today on his birthday? And they said, oh, it's the big one. It's 40. And I'm like, 40, like as in 40, not 30. So,
yeah. And then on top of that is my whole single dating life. My mother never, ever, ever liked any woman I ever dated, from the very first one to, and so my version of the story is I was going through difficult divorce, which that's a cliche. They're all difficult. And so I
didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew he had these two girls, but I didn't really know anything about the ex-wife or anything.
Yeah. And then of course Penn is going through hell because she's quitting alcohol. And so not the kind of girl you would take home to mom. And I don't think any father of any woman I ever dated liked me at all, period. And so I take Penn home that Thanksgiving or that birthday, and my mother instantly fell in love with her. The next time I talked to my mom, she just goes, finally, you've got a decent, wonderful woman.
But I don't think any of them realized. What? Yeah, I don't think any of them realized how young I was, though.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a different story. But yeah, Moses's mom, Olive, and I, we were good. We were good buddies.
Yeah.
We were good buddies.
And that is the legend of Penn and Moses.
That is. And it is cool to me that my sobriety day is really the beginning of not just my new life, but it was the beginning of our relationship and then building our our little family. And it really did.
Yeah.
We defeated all odds. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we had the age, now it's all cool, right? It's called age gap relationship.
Yeah.
That sounds so much more fun than old fart.
Yeah.
Or what did they used to call it? Winter, spring, or summer, fall,
Yeah.
or
Winter, spring.
winter, spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now it's age gap relationship.
Yeah. And the other thing we had going was that being a 2-time loser at marriage, I wanted.
I was number three. Number 3.
Yeah. Lucky 3. And so it was a case that all I wanted more than anything, the way Penn wanted her sobriety and a new life, I wanted a relationship that was going to go long, be happy, 2 people that got along, loved being together, loved, till death does you part.
Yeah.
And it turns out that fit into Penn's thing of a new life. And so, and knowing that neither one of us was really a good catch at that point, we did for the next 12 years, like 24/7, every type of therapy that you could imagine. And I mean, it included things like going to the gym, hiking, biking, that type of natural therapy. We definitely knew every therapist in Boulder by their first name and knew their families, and it worked. It worked. We've had that. I mean, we had lots of really, really fun, exciting stuff. Lots of cool trips. Like we lived in Mexico, generally January to May, April, and psychologically, mentally, emotionally, it was really tough on both of us.
It is a lot of work, and
but
think
we hit a point.
Yeah.
That I'll quit on this because we should wrap it up. But you can wrap it up because you're better at wrapping up.
Because you don't like to wrap up presents.
Yeah, or get them. And now I've gone too far, and I don't know what I was going to talk about.
That's okay. But we definitely, we just wanted to share that with you guys. And I know you've heard, if you've been a fan of the podcast from day one, you've probably heard little snippets here and there of our story. But it is a special week, and we do celebrate it. And when the girls were little, we celebrated it as a family. It was almost like Christmas. We'd have presents and
go
our
out
favorite
to eat.
foods, and sometimes we'd go on a trip. But it wasn't just to celebrate my sobriety day, but it was to celebrate that choice that I had made, and it brought our family together. And it wasn't all fun. I mean, even now, especially when I get down or I'm in a lot of pain, because I now have to go through pain without narcotics, which is hard. There's been a couple of times over the past 38 years that medically I had to take pain medication because it was not healthy for my body to be in that much pain. And so, but it was very short stints, and it hasn't been easy, and it's still not easy. Anybody out there who's going through addiction, regardless if you're in the sobriety part of it or in the, full throes of using, it is hard. And a lot in our society, even though there's been a lot of light put on it, there's still a lot of misnomers about addiction. And our dear friend, Bill Lundgren, did a whole series on the podcast Blind Sight. You can check that out on the 12 steps. And they call them steps because you are, it's a lot of work getting up those steps. So, but so that's that. And I don't know what we're going to do on the 9th, but we'll do something. I have to work all day, but that's okay. I love what I do, and I love the people I get to serve. So, but we'll go out to dinner. And one of the things I know that I'm going to be saying is that I'm so thankful for this podcast and I'm so thankful that Moses came on board with me in January to do this podcast.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, because he really is my life partner. He's my best friend. He's the cream in my coffee.
Yeah, except it's oat milk. She doesn't.
That is
drink
true.
cream.
I do dairy
Yeah,
free.
I'm the oat milk in her coffee.
There you go. But we love all of you out there. Thank you for coming back week after week and supporting what we talk about. And we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
We know all of you guys are going through drama if you've lost your sight or have a disability and are going through that transition.
Or whatever it is. I mean, but also we want to hear from you in your celebrations as well.
Oh, yeah.
Those are always fun to hear. So, email us, contact at aftersight.org. And you can, of course, go on the Aftersight website, aftersight.org, and you can see all of the podcasts that Aftersight does, because we definitely could not do this without them, and definitely without our fearless podcast producer, Jonathan. He always makes us sound good. And check us out on YouTube. And, just Google Aftersight on YouTube. And because we're going to start putting everything up on YouTube, because it's kind of fun to see people's faces along with their stories. So Moses,
I don't photograph well, so you may not enjoy my face.
So is there some little snippet of inspiration you'd like to leave us with today?
Just, because Penn rapidly, when we first met, became my muse. And yes, in history, all the famous muses for all the famous artists, that, yes, they did break up, but many of them stayed together forever. And I would highly recommend that you turn your partner into your muse, because one, like for me, I'm thinking of Penn all the time. And how could I photograph her? What would be neat? And how would she work into this new idea and all that kind of stuff. And it brings you really, really close together.
Yeah.
So turn your partner into a muse.
Or if you have already, let us know at contact at aftersight.org. Yeah. This week, be kind to yourselves and find a way to be kind to somebody else. It's good for your soul. Until next week.